लिबरल सरकार वालों एक बार फिर असाल्ट मिलिटरी वैपन जिन्हां च वड्डे हथियार जिवें मशीन गन LMG आदि जिहड़े कि सिर्फ मिलिटरी कोल ही हुंदे ने लोकां वालों उन्हां हथियारां दी वरतों कीती जांदी है, जिस कारण बहुत सारियां वारदातां सामने आ रही सन। सरकार वालों आदेश जारी किया गया सी कि यह हथियार लोकां कोलों वापस लिते जाणगे ते सरकार वालों इन्हां असाल्ट हथियारां नूं बैन करन दा फैसला भी किया गया सी। पर कुछ लाइसेंस शुदा हथियार विक्रेतावां जां जिन्हां दे शूटिंग रेंज ने उन्हां वालों सरकार नूं इन्हां हथियारां दे बैन नूं रोकण दी अपील की गई सी कि लाइसेंस शुदा हथियार नूं कोई भी बंदा गैर कानूनी काम लई नहीं वरतदा, जिस दे मद्देनज़र सरकार वालों इन्हां हथियारां दे बैन नूं रोक दिता गया है। आओ सुनदे हां कनेडा दे रखिया मंत्री हरजीत सिंह सज्जन अते सरी BC दे MP कैन हार्डी ने सरकार दे हथियारां दे बैन अते फिर अनबैन संबंधी की विचार साझे कीते।
Good morning, everybody. I'm Ken Hardy. I have served as a member of Parliament for Fleetwood Port Hills for the last 6 years, and now I'm flying to jump back, and it's been fun. Everybody's ready to go? Well, good morning, everybody. Pleased to be here today on the traditional unceded territory of the Katzie, the Whitlam, Semiahmoo, and Kwantlen First Nations. Last week, I visited 2 of our main mosques in Fleetwood Port Kells, and I spoke to people who have directly felt the pain and shootings at the Islamic Center in Quebec City and Wellington, New Zealand. And at every news of another mass shooting, you can understand how they'll recoil. They find it impossible to understand how anyone can think of allowing assault weapons to be legal in Canada again. To them, it's incomprehensible that Aaron O'Toole would allow this to happen. But to me, and many other Canadians, it isn't. Mr. O'Toole has been the gun lobby's guy. He needed them and the Social Conservatives and Countless members to support his leadership. They did, and now, despite some of the fancy footwork we maybe saw during the French language leaders debate to suggest otherwise, his conservative platform opens the way to put back in civilian hands weapons designed to assault. As Liberals, we have no issue with the ownership of firearms by people who hunt or who grow their shooting accuracy skills. These people don't need assault weapons, especially ones with larger magazines, which is another obligation Mr. O'Toole appears to have with the National Firearms Association and the Canadian Coalition for Firearms Rights. Liberals have banned 1,500 assault-style firearms. No ordinary citizen needs them. We can, in every way, live without them. For most ordinary Canadians, there's not a lot of reality when it comes to assault-style weapons. So we need to turn to an extraordinary Canadian to get the straight goods on what that ban meant and what the Conservative pledge to reverse that ban means. Our Station has probably had more experience with these weapons, both ends of them, than he'd want to remember or even talk about. But if we need a strong dose of reality here, he's probably one of the best people to provide it. As a serving member in the Canadian Armed Forces and as our Minister of National Defence, he can speak with authority, the kind of authority all Canadians need to hear right now. So I am deeply grateful that he's made time to join us today. Mark?
We're not going to allow military-style weapons to be purchased, sold. Essentially, they'll be inoperable. So there will be a program to buy back those banned weapons. But also we're going to be strengthening the background checks as well. And that's extremely important. So any type of weapon, it is important to do a thorough background checks and when things change, to give the police the powers to be able to retrieve those weapons. It's extremely important. As we talk about massacres, we also, when it comes to domestic violence, we talk about the gang violence. We need a very comprehensive approach to be able to tackle the problem directly. So the Bill C-71, it goes far broader than just a weapon.
Did you have a follow-up?
No, that's good.
Next question.
Question from Global News. What do you say to critics who say that the Liberal plan for gun control doesn't go far enough?
Well, we've listened to Canadians, and Canadians have spoken very, very clearly that they wanted military-style weapons. They also wanted high-capacity magazines to be found. And one of the things we're going to continue to work, we're putting $1 billion forward and committing $1 billion to municipalities and provinces so they can determine the direction they wish to go when it comes to handgun bans. That we need to, at the end of the day, work with all municipalities across the countries to come up how we can keep our cities safer. And our government is the one that has finally taken those steps to take concrete action to get rid of weapons that should never be on our streets.
Did you have a follow-up?
Follow-up, what do you say, rather, how come you think Aaron O'Toole won't specifically say which guns he will and will not ban?
I think it's very simple. He had in his platform, he had put clearly because when he was running for the leadership, he needed the support of gun lobbyists. And it's very clearly written in the platform. And then he said something very different. And you can surmise for yourself why he wanted to do this. It's trying to play with words as a way of trying to get greater support in other parts of the region. The Conservatives have done this before in other elections and former leaders. They say one thing, but actually say something else to different groups. What we need here is full transparency, because this is what elections are about in our democracy. When you present your plan, stand by it. So, and if he believes in what he had said, it's very simple. Take that section out of this platform. It's really that simple.